and welcome to another segment episode of the InGENIUSES.
Yes.
We're not as enthusiastic because for the first time, we're gonna get educational. We are gonna get serious. But goddamn, it was Avengers Endgame great.
Yes, it was.
Okay, but shut up because we're not here to talk about that.
We still can't get over it though.
Seriously. So as I already mentioned previously and just briefly on a couple of videos that we've posted throughout the year, there has been a lot of going on in our lives, personal lives, work and stuff, and even though we try to keep that personal, we just couldn't go on anymore without sharing some of the stuff that has been delaying our schedules and stuff that we were able to do last year that we're not able to do as much this year as far as putting content out.
Yes.
In this channel, we try to promote as much as we can positivity and emphasize positive vibes, living a positive lifestyle within any means. For us in this channel, if you've already seen some of our past videos, even on our WTF videos, which we pick on people,
Making fun of them.
we pick on specific topics or even a group of individuals, it doesn't necessarily mean that we're attacking them or being just mean ass jerks. Everything's for fun purposes, and that's what this channel is. It may sound contradictory when we try to promote positive vibes, positivity, a healthy lifestyle, but it is all for fun sakes,
Yes.
for laugh sakes, because I think there's no better medicine, like they say, than to try to bring a laugh to someone's day, right?
Yes. Definitely.
Some of you may be wondering, oh, Carnitas, what have you done to your hair? Well, she's gone into a new fashion trend. She's been putting her hands, her feet wet into becoming a model.
I wish.
Exactly. And no, just kidding. Well, you want to show them some of your new recent hairdos? Want to turn it around?
They are nice, huh?
We'll talk a little bit about the barber who took care of these amazing designs. Why? Because as you already saw on the title, we're gonna talk about Lichen
Planopilaris.
Planopilaris.
What the heck did you just say?
In Spanish, you say Lichen Planopilaris.
What?
It's easier for me to pronounce it that way.
Lichen Planopilaris.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
That don't make no sense.
Can you tell us what that is?
Well, a lot of people, first of all, don't even know what it is. So when I say it, they're like, what?
Can you please explain to us as, I mean, the word itself is already hard to say.
It's complicated.
So I'm sure just like me and a million other people don't have a effing clue about what this is. So pretend you're talking to a 5-year-old, to other 5-year-olds out there, because even if you try to explain it in the medicine terms, we're still gonna get lost. So what is it? What's Lichen Planopilaris?
Why don't you explain this to me like I'm 5?
It is an autoimmune disorder that I was diagnosed with last year.
What is that exactly? What is that disorder? Well,
Okay, so in layman's terms, like you say, like if you're a 5-year-old, so we all got cells in our bodies, and pretty much my white cells are attacking my own hair follicles, like if it's a foreign body. So we have a defense mechanism in our body, which is our autoimmune, system, which when you're getting sick, your body cells come together like little warriors, and they go and attack that, either flu or whatever you're having, right? So that's why they say you gotta have a good autoimmune system in order to fight infections and in order to be healthy, right?
so let me translate that to our pop culture references. The parademons coming and attacking the Justice League team. Thanos team coming and attacking the Avengers,
well, not
right?
really, not really, because it's not like, okay, so the problem is my own body.
Okay.
So like my own good cells are attacking my own body. So it's kind of
Okay.
like they're trading me.
You're all traitors.
And what causes that?
That's unknown.
Unknown.
There's no cause that they have actually found to what causes this disorder. So I mean, I remember ever since I was small having, you know, very sensitive to the sunlight. I couldn't go out to play like a regular kid for as long as I wanted in the sun because I would get really itchy.
Does that come from genetically? Did you inherit that? Is that from anyone in your family that could have had that?
That's
Or
actually
any-
a question that I've had before as well, but no, it's not. And like I said, the reason why it comes, it's very unknown. They haven't found a reason why. There's a cost to it. It is just your own body thinking your hair is a foreign object that they need to attack. So they attack it, and that's the reason why it falls off.
So not only it's Lichen Planopilaris, a foreign word, but the disease is
Itself.
also very rare.
Yes.
Could we say that?
Mm-hmm.
Which is what I'm only gonna assume they haven't found a cure. Now that we're facing this adversity of the disease, we're kind of getting educated on it. We're now getting exposed to these funny medical terms. Does anybody know, or have your doctors, your specialists, have told you if this has been something that has popped up more commonly known in society in the last few years, or is it something that has been going on and attacking the immune system of the humans for the longest time?
On the process, because it's a process for you to actually get this kind of diagnosis. On that process, they thought I had lupus, which
Okay.
is another autoimmune disorder. It's more common. Lupus is definitely more common. What I have is more of a, we can say like a cousin, far cousin from lupus. Because lupus, it's a more of a general, well, depending what type of lupus, because it's really complicated in this to explain, because there's different branches into what type of lichen planus, lichen planopilaris, lichen sclerosis. I mean, there's so many types of autoimmune disorders out there that.
Thank you for clarifying that, because that was my next question. I've heard the term lichen planus. Is that right? So forgive me again if I'm mispronouncing some of these terms. So they are different types of course, like, let's put it into something that we most are familiar with, like hepatitis C, hepatitis, whatever other types of hepatitis. Is this kind of a similar thing that goes on with the lichen planopilaris?
You know, when I got this diagnosis, I started freaking out because I'm like, what is this? I'm a nurse, and I haven't really heard about this because it's so rare. And they told me that you have something that is very uncommon. And when they told me like there's actually no cure for it, I started freaking out. Like, okay, well, what's going on? Like, am I gonna be like this forever? Like.
So all the tests that you have been going through, or before they actually diagnosed you with that, how did it become obvious? I'm gonna obviously kind of answer my own question, but you started to have bald spots, which is kind of the reason why we're gonna talk about the hairdo in a little bit. But that kind of started with that, or how did it come about for the doctors, the specialists, to start conducting all these different tests?
My process was I started getting very itchy in my scalp. And I remember specifically like it hurting like when you have a pimple in your head.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember asking you to check me because I was very itchy and it was very painful. And I'm like, what the heck is this? And it felt weird. And back then I had a lot of hair. And you just told me, it looks like a scar, like you have no hair. I'm like, I've never been dropped in my head. Not that I remember, even when I was little, being told that I have an opening in my fucking head, you know? So I'm like, for you to tell me I have no hair, I started like, okay, well, maybe I never noticed, you know? But it was so small, it literally was like a dime size.
Yeah, and I remember
little shiny bald spot, right?
And I remember I used to make fun of you. I know now, going back to those times, you may say, "Oh, what an ignorant mother effer you were in Irvines." I used to make fun of you, telling you, "Well, you need to take a shower. God damn it, that's why you're all itchy. You probably have lice and piojos and whatever other creatures you may have in your scalp. You have a colony of them." But of course, later we found out that this was the adversity of it, and well, so anyway.
So after that first bald spot that I found on this side of the head, I started getting painful back here, which started freaking me out when literally one day to another, I had another bald spot. So I'm like, okay, this is not okay. Like, what's going on? I started getting stressed out because I thought, well, maybe it's because of stress that I'm stressing for the first one that's causing the second one, and now it's progressing to a third one, because eventually by the time that I went to the doctor, I had 2 bald spots, but this one that was a dime size, it was already a quarter size. And this one that was probably like a dime size, it was already starting to be like a penny size. And my doctor scared the out of me, because he's like, well, I'm gonna test you for, you know, syphilis and hepatitis. And I am like, what are you talking about? You know,
in
like,
human nature, you start freaking out.
Yeah, well, obviously, you know. So I told him, okay, test me, do all the blood work you need to do. Like, I started freaking out. I'm like, well, if it's something that's curable, you know, if it's a side effect of another disease, whatever it is, you know. So there goes Carnitas and does blood work, and they did literally from A to C, and they only were able to find that I had low iron, very, very low iron, and a little bit of anemia, which he kind of was like, well, maybe, you know, it makes your hair fall, but go to the dermatologist. So there goes Carnitas to the specialist, right? By the time I got to the dermatologist, it had been already like 3 weeks from where it started, and by then I was already on this one. It kind of was like a dollar size bald spot, kind of like that big.
A dollar coin, that is, not a dollar bill.
No, yeah, dollar size coin. Sorry. And this one back here was actually a little bit bigger than a quarter already. So right away, doctor's like, well, we can do the steroid injections. It could just be alopecia, you know. It happens to everybody when they're stressed out or they went through a traumatic process or something that happened throughout, you know, either work's too stressful or something at home. I'm like, well, not really my case, but...
Although, like I mentioned at the beginning of the video, we had a rough start of the year. Not so much like we're going through drama or anything, but just like the year came all of a sudden, like January, February, March, April. We're already in May, and there has been so many ideas of videos that we've been meaning to do. At that time when they diagnosed you, I remember, let's just say it was a rough patch of stuff that we were trying to transition from one thing to another. I remember, and work was stressful at the time, so it kind of made sense.
Well, actually, I had already stopped working where I had been for more than a couple months.
But like I said, the transition of going into something new, trying something new, changing works, it kind of made sense at the time. You mentioned that not only was it itchy, but it was painful. What kind of pain was that? Was it like when you bump your head into something? Was it like a headache?
Well, actually, it's more
pressure.
The way that I feel it and how I can best describe it is the pain. When it starts, like when I know that there's a spot that's gonna start. Now that it's been so repetitive. It feels like when you, I don't know if you ever, when you were little, you fall and you literally bump and you make cachichon, like.
Big bruise.
Yeah, and just tender to touch, and even like when you move your hair, it hurts.
Yeah.
That's the kind of pain that it starts with, and then from there it progresses more to like a burning sensation. So I can describe it more like when you're cooking and oil kind of hits your skin and it burns, but it hurts at the same time. that's the kind of pain that I feel on my scalp.
So if anyone's having similar symptoms, what are the first, does it go into specific phases? Does it start first with the itching, then with the pain, then with the burning, or is it a specific, or the burning can come before the itching? How is it those pre-symptoms?
Well, like I said, because of all the multiple bald spots that I've had, and that's what I've noticed, is like the pattern, at least for me, because everybody is different, and I don't want to speak like for everybody else out there that has this, but for me at least, it hurts first, like if you got hit, like I said, and then from there, so like I can tell you right now where it hurts is like my frontal part right here. It's painful. Even when I was getting my hair cut, it hurts. When Kevin was doing my haircut today, it was hurting me. It was bothering me just by the touch. You know what I mean? But from there, I know it progresses to the burning sensation. So it literally, my skin gets hot. Like if I have a fever, hot. Like that's how hot my head starts to feel. And then from there, it starts itching. So like the burning sensation starts feeling like that urge to, scratch because it's so itchy, and after it gets itchy, it starts getting scaly and dry and red and irritated. So then you're in pain with burning sensation and itching, and it gets to the point where I feel so desperate that I don't even know what to put on my head, because washing your hair with cold water helps, but it's only while you have the water running through. And I do get ice packs, and I put it in, wherever it's bothering me, and it relieves it temporarily. But I mean, I was getting the injections. Eventually, like I said, the dermatologist gave me that treatment, which is to help the inflammation from the skin, because when my cells attack my follicles, pretty much what they do is they inflame the pores or my skin. So there's that layer of inflammation, which is what causes the redness and the itchiness and the burning and the pain. So the injection directly into the scalp, to be very concise into what they do, they were putting 16 injections total.
So hold it right there before we go into the treatment. Again, if anyone's having any of these symptoms, you say the burning sensation, is that on a bald spot that you already have, or is the burning sensation on a spot that may become bald where you're gonna start losing hair? Just for people, so if anybody's having these sort of symptoms, then they can start going straight through their specialist and say, okay, I'm having these symptoms, and I've heard of Lichen Planopilaris, and is this something that I could potentially have if I have the itchiness, if I have the burning sensation? Is that already on the bald spots, or is that something that's gonna become a bald spot?
So like I said, right now that I have, I'm very sensitive on these areas. I don't want to like predict it, but I can probably say if I have a flare up, it'll be right here in these areas, because it's where it's hurting. And obviously back here where I already have the bald spots, it can go more back, because I'm starting to feel that bothering.
Do you still have any uncomfort on your bald spots?
Well, on this one right here, ever since I decided to let go of the hair and go ahead and shave it, and it alleviated, because it feels fresh. And like I said, you feel like you have your skin burning, literally hot. So taking the hair away, it makes the area a little bit more fresh, and
to let it air out. So do you think that, excuse me if I sound ignorant, which I will, I'm not a biologist, I'm not a human anatomy expert, but so do you think that having hair on those specific spots, once you remove it, like you said, now it feels like it's all airy now, you don't feel any uncomfort, do you think that somehow the hair cells are somewhat fighting those cells that you said at the beginning of the video? Somehow they're like going at war, like, oh, you hair cells shouldn't be here, get up. And I don't know, I'm making a stupid comment, but I'm trying to put it into a perspective on how we would understand something that's, again, really rare, how would you explain it? Like, if you have hair, it becomes, it could potentially lead to a flare-up, like you said. And if once you shave it off, it's such a relief. I mean, it's weird to try to put the
let me try to
concept together.
explain you. So after it falls off, the reason why this disease or this disorder is it's really rare, it's because the cells start scarring. So
Okay.
they fight it off, the hair falls off, but then there's scarring tissue. So if that happens, that means that there's no more hair that's gonna come out.
So they lose.
So they lose, pretty much.
Infinity War.
No. The hair
Oh,
follicles,
not Infinity War?
the hair follicles lose to my own cells. Does that make
Okay.
sense?
Yeah, sort
So
of, yeah.
the hair pretty much is lost, and my immune system that's fighting against my own body wins, or it thinks it wins. That's why I say it's like my own body's trading my own body. Does that make sense?
What?
It's like, why is my body doing this to me, to my own self?
Stay tuned. After these messages. Oh, sorry, we have no sponsors yet. Hey! The treatment. My God, I don't wish that onto my worst enemy. I wish so many things. Well, I don't wish evil upon it.
Anybody?
Anyone? I'm sorry. By the way, this is not orange juice. It's just a homemade cocktail. So if you see me like barfing a little bit, forgive me. Treatment. I've been with you on those treatments, and God, it ain't pretty. What's the treatment? You already briefly mentioned the shots. Getting shots to your head.
Yes.
Syringes, that is, not like...
Like needles.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of us, I can handle needles, okay? I can handle shots. But most of us, I'm also going to put myself in the shoes of many others. Many of us are such a big-ass pussies that we can't be near needles.
You get offered the flu shot and you run out.
Yes, we run for the hills. And that's just like a shot like on the butt cheek, on the arm. I can freaking imagine getting needles on your head. Not just one, not two, not three, not four, multiple, several shots in one session. Per session.
Oh, hell no!
Per treatment.
And the faster they do it, the better, because fuck.
Tell us about it.
So those are the steroid injections that you get directly injected into the site. Pretty much they just inject where the bald spot is. And the reason why, like I said, is because the steroid goes directly into the bald spot, and it helps with the inflammation of where the cells are at. And by the inflammation going away, it lets the hair kind of see if it's gonna grow, and if there's a scarring already, there's not a way that it's gonna grow anymore. So you pretty much lost your roots of the hair and you're doomed. But it will help with the symptoms, like the pain and the itchiness and the burning sensation that I feel. At least that helps. I've had creams, I've had spray, I've had oral medication. In my own persona, every time that I would go get the injections in my head, it would take a wreck on my body, not just, in my head because it hurts, or the pain that you go through while getting the injection is the after that wrecks your body. At least for me, it made me blow up like crazy. And not just to mention, the whole process, it affects not just your head, but your weight. Or at least it did to me. I mean, I've been in a support group that I found on Facebook, And you know, some say no, that has nothing to do. It has to do with your diet. It has to do. But at least to me, and you well know, I take care of what I eat. And we were exercising. I did a boot camp where, yes, I lost 20 pounds. Actually, it was 22 pounds. And I went to go get the injections literally 4 days after, 20 pounds in. Like that. And we're like, what the hell? Like, you know, all this effort you're putting into, you know, trying to stay active and eating healthy and trying to lose the weight that the injections were actually getting me, you know, getting me gain. It was going to the trash just by getting injections and just seeing so little progress. Like one injection, you get one hair. Like,
so we'll talk about the possible consequences and side effects in a minute. So now a little bit talking about the treatment. So the injections, the shots, don't necessarily help regrow new hair, right? But it just prevents those spots, those bald spots from maybe becoming bigger.
yes,
Is that right?
definitely.
But it doesn't prevent new bald spots sprouting up,
No.
right?
I mean, actually, before, right now that you're saying bald spots, and before you even go to getting the diagnosis, I got 2 biopsies in my head. I don't know if you remember about that. And that was the process that actually got me into the diagnosis, which once later on, after the, you know, the biopsies came back, the results, I went to go get more blood work to specify what kind of immune disorder it is the one that I have. So after getting those 2 biopsies, I got one done right here, which it hurts like a bitch. I mean, just pull one hair out from here and you're like literally dying, right? It hurts.
I bet, yeah.
So imagine getting a punch biopsy, like, you know, a hole puncher in paper.
That's
into
literally what
this
it was.
area, okay? And then the one back here too. Because by that time that I actually got the biopsies done, this one was like 10 by 15, like this big. And I had a new one right here. And I had this one already like this big. And it was just a big mess. And I had already had the injections. And it was just getting bigger. Things were looking bad for me. I went into a deep depression. My self-esteem was just doomed because, I mean, for a girl, you know, hair is, it's part of you. It's your joy and pride. It's, you know, what you wake up to do every morning, your hair and makeup. And if you have a bad hair day, how do you feel? You know, just having a bad hair day gives you a bad day.
Yeah.
Right?
You
Just
wake up with a
imagine
pimple and the world is over.
So imagine not having hair, like literally trying to figure out how am I going to cover up my hair, because if I flip it to this side, I'll cover, you know, this big old patch that I had no hair on, and now I can't even put it in a ponytail because you'll be noticing this one and the one back here, and it's hot, and you know, it was a big mess.
Yeah.
And I was actually going through all that whole like denial, and I was angry with myself because I was like, my own body is doing this to me. Like, why? Like, how can you betray me this in this way? I mean, you know, you could have any other type of disease that has a cure, and diabetes is bad for me enough to say, fuck, you gotta be injecting yourself and poking yourself for life. But at least there's a treatment. There's a hope for you, right?
Yeah.
Well, I kind of don't, unfortunately. Yeah.
So, Carnitas, I do want to thank you for coming in to the InGENIUSES couch to come and have a chat about these, the Lichen Planopilaris. For you guys, thank you for staying in tune with us. Click on the link below for part 2. Because we're gonna keep on going with this, and we don't want to bore the hell out of you. I know you all need a pee break, a poop break. You probably may need to go grab a popcorn, bring the, I don't know, the
bring
friend
the
over.
abuelita.
Yeah, stay tuned for part 2. Thank you, Carnitas.